Hello everyone out there, welcome back to my channel, that is Science Unlocked. Now today we are going to talk about such a topic which is very close to us. It is directly connected with us, but at the very same time that is something we generally don't look into in a deeper content. So after completing this particular topic, you will definitely going to think about this thing, that yes, this is something which we should more often talk about or care about. So the very first thing, as are almost all the sessions, is the question answer session. And in this particular session I have come up with this particular structures or the pictures that are in front of you, that is of computers. Now there is a big reason why I have taken this particular thing as the starting point of this particular topic or the chapter. Now this particular system is one of the finest system or finest machine that we have. That is, it is going to be efficient, it is fast, it has lots and lots of storage capacity. On the other hand, it does not perform any sort of errors until the input is given in a wrong format. That means this is something which is almost a perfect machine. But my main question is that, do we have any other kind of system around us or any other kind of machine around us which will going to give the same sort of efficiency and same sort of reliability? Then the answer to that particular question would come up in different formats, and some of you would be coming with different sort of devices which are some or the other form of computers only. But its relevance with our topic is that we are going to talk about the concept of organ system. Now, organ system are basically the different kinds of systems which are here in the body, and they are made up of different kinds of organs. Collectively they are performing a specific function inside our body, and obviously because of these systems we are more and more having better life. We are living in the world in a better form. So that is why I have taken it as a relevance with the computers, that this particular system that we have will not going to perform any sort of error until we are going to give it a sort of wrong input. Otherwise the output will always be a positive output. So let's get started. So which is the first system that we are going to look into? The first system that we are going to look into is the skeletal system. Now skeletal system is this, what it exactly looks like. Now I know that I have taken lots and lots of name in this particular picture, but a little more knowledge is never bad, and of course it is not the wrong knowledge, so we can take that. Now let's get started with this particular system. Now what are the main parts of this particular system, or the main aspects of this particular system, is that the very first thing is it will going to be a framework of bones. Now what do we mean by framework actually over here? Framework is basically the alignment or arrangement of different kinds of bones. And what exactly it does? It will going to give us the shape, support and the strength that we require. The kind of bones that we have is ultimately the appearance that we get in the form of our body. So it is going to provide us the shape, and of course different organs are aligned inside our body, aligned inside this particular system. So that means it is going to provide us support as well. Without the help of the different parts of our skeletal system, we cannot perform any sort of function. That means here comes the support and of course the strength. Every time we say this thing, that a person is going to be stronger if the person is going to have a stronger bone. That means we are directly talking about the strength. Now if we talk about the number, that means the count, how many number of bones we have. So in case of an adult human body, it is actually 206. Whereas if we talk about a child or an infant, then the number will be approximately 300. Now there are multiple reasons behind this particular difference in number, because everyone will going to have this kind of a question after this particular explanation, that a child's body or an infant body is generally smaller as compared to the adult body. Then how come it is possible that it will going to have a larger number of bones? So the reason behind that is the overall formation of body in case of a child or an infant. So the whole process where the body formation takes place in case of a child or and specifically an infant, then in that particular process the body has to be very, very flexible. Otherwise it will not be able to get fit inside the womb of the uterus. So ultimately we can say this thing, that the reason behind this high number of bones in case of human body is actually the this particular reason, that it has to fit inside the womb when it is in the infant stage. So the next thing is that what exactly is the count that we have. So when we talk about our skull, it is actually 22 number of bones, and then vertebral column it is 33. The shoulder girdle and the upper arm will going to make up 64 number of bones, whereas the lower limb and the pelvic girdle will going to make 62 number of bones. On the other hand, the thoracic cavity will going to have 25 number of bones. So when we are going to combine all these numbers which are here, we will come up to this thing, that is 206 bones. Now let's move to the main functions of the skeletal system. The very first function that we have talked about in the previous section also, that it is going to provide us the shape and the support that we require. And when we talk about the next function, it is the protection of the delicate organs, means the organs which are inside our body. Now the next important aspect with this particular aspect is this particular picture. Over here you can see that lungs are actually present inside the rib cage. So similarly, there are different organs which are residing inside our different set of bones, and collectively they are protecting the organs which are very, very delicate, and they are internal part of our body. Now the next thing is that the muscles that are attached to bones, they are the main reason behind the movement of body, because we know this thing, that the skeletal system helps us in making different sort of movements and moves, but this particular movement is not possible if the skeletal will remain in its original form. That means it will going to require the different set of muscles along with it, because of which only it will be able to make the different sort of movements. Now the next thing that come to our topic is that what exactly are the parts or the broad divisions in which the skeletal system is divided. That means we are talking about the parts of the skeletal system. So the very first thing is the skull. Next thing is our vertebral column. Then we have the limbs that we have, that means the forelimbs and the hind limbs, the set of hands that we have, and the set of legs that we have. And last but not the least, it is the rib cage. So these are basically the parts of human skeletal system, and in this we will be looking into the details of these particular sections also. Now the next aspect is the bone. Now bone is something which is the major part, or you can say the main part of the skeletal system. And what is its composition? It is made up of calcium and phosphorus, and it has its own blood supply along with the different sort of nerves. On the other hand, we can say that the growth of this particular bone or any kind of bone in our body is in proportion with the overall growth of our body. The moment when we start growing, automatically the size of the bones will also increase, which is the inevitable part of the growth process. This cannot happen that you are keep on growing and the bones are not growing until there is some sort of a medical condition. Now the other important aspect with reference to the structure of bone is that it is made up of two layers. The outer part is the hard covering, and the inner part is the spongy material or a fluid like structure, to be more specific, which is known as bone marrow. That means it is basically the internal cavity of the bone, which is responsible for the formation of the three kinds of blood cells, that is the red blood cells, platelets and white blood cells. Now the next thing that we are moving into is the skull. Now skull is basically the part of the body which is on the top of it, and it is the top of the skeletal system as well. But when we are going to look into the structure of skull, we can actually see this thing, that it is very diverse, or you can say different with reference to the rest of the skeletal system. It is made up of flat bones as well as curved bones, or you can say the different set of bones are available over here. They are not cylindrical with reference to rest of the bones. Now what exactly is the number of skull? That we have already taken, that it is 22, out of which the 8 flat bones are making up the covering of the brain. That means this particular region that we can see over here, and the 14 bones are making the frame of the face. That means what kind of face are we going to have. That will be as per the number of 14 bones. Now what happens is that in between this particular region of skull and the brain, which is inside it, there will going to be a fluid which will going to prevent the shocking or any sort of jerk which the brain is getting in case of any sort of accident or any sort of physical injury. And this particular section is the section which will not going to make any sort of movement. It is immovable. On the other hand, when we talk about this lower jaw, the jaw which is the making the lower set of teeth, this particular jaw is the particular section which is movable. Means in the case of whole skeletal system, it is only the lower jaw which can move and rest of the bones cannot. So next thing is the spinal cord or the human backbone. So basically what happens is that human backbone is basically the main axis of the body. Means it is making the main axis for the whole skeleton as well as your body, because as per the alignment of the vertebral column, the whole body is aligned. On the other hand, when we talk about the number of vertebrae, that means the bones which are making the whole vertebral column, that number is 33. And if we talk about the function of this particular structure in the body, then it will going to prevent the any sort of damage to the spinal cord. So that was for it for the today's session or this particular session. We will continue this particular session in the upcoming sessions, and